Hey YouTube, it is Tuesday, March 1st, 2011 at about 10:15. I feel like I have a lot to talk about, partially because I have not still or again or whatever done a great job about continuing to make videos. I think that uh, I think I'm just not sure how to continue to engage in this process despite having a really strong desire to continue to engage in this process. So, I got distracted. So I've been doing a lot of stuff. I've been doing a ton of public speaking, community ed stuff. I had my first community event where I just scheduled a time and said I was going to be speaking and asked people to come and to listen and ask questions and have a dialogue. And I was really not nervous necessarily, but I felt unsure, I guess. I felt unsure about it. And it turned out great. There was like 60 people that came, and it was about 2 hours or so. And it was really phenomenal, and people's responses were great, and I felt like overwhelmingly I did a good job. And then today I spoke in a graduate level class, and I think it was fine, and I think everyone else would say that it was fine, but I kind of felt like I walked out of there um, not feeling as good about myself as I did when I walked in. And so that's an interesting thing, and that has kind of led to me thinking about different things and making some notes and making this video. So um, one of the things that came from the presentation that I did last Thursday was a local doctor was there, and he is a hormone specialist, and he he does currently treat a handful of trans patients, but not overwhelmingly. His services are not overwhelmingly accessible to trans folks. And so I met with him the following day for about 2.5, 3 hours, him and his main staff person, and we talked about, they asked me a ton of questions, and we talked about how they can make their services accessible, financially accessible to trans folks here in the Butte County area. And that he would specifically not only monitor people's hormones, but actually start people on their hormones. And this is a huge thing because it's one of the barriers of Butte County is that there's no doctors who will start people on hormones. And so not only if people choose to engage in therapy and go through the WPATH standards of care to transition, they have to leave Butte County, they have to go to Sacramento, they have to go to San Francisco. And so on top of the financial burden of going through the process of standard of care to transition, there's the additional financial burden of having to leave Chico to go, to go do that. So the fact that potentially a relationship has been created where this doctor is willing to start people on hormones and continue to monitor them from a financially accessible place is phenomenal. And I feel really great because I've been doing activism and community education for a while, and it's been great, and I love it, and I feel like there's been a lot of people who have had shifts in their own belief systems or experiences or what have you, and as a result, I think that the community here in Chico, there's a lot more allies than there would be had I not been willing to be as out as I have been. But this feels like a step that I haven't quite been able to accomplish thus far, in the fact that being able to create some long-term accessible services for people here in Butte County that not only benefits early transitioners, mid-transitioners, and late transitioners, it really, really benefits because it sets a precedence within the medical community. So I feel amazing about that. I feel really, really great about that, and I'm able to take in that I played an instrumental part in that by my willingness to be out and share my story and sometimes take hits, like I certainly take hits. It's not like being as out as I am in a small town goes without consequences. I just don't talk about those consequences all that much. So all of that's 5 minutes of preparing the point of this video, or maybe that is the point. I don't know. So as I'm talking to this doctor, this hormone doctor, and he's asking me questions about my own cross-hormone therapy and testosterone hormones and so forth. I had said something, and I say this frequently in my presentation, about the difficulty of that place when people launch into puberty and menopause at the same time, and how that's really, really difficult, because we give all sorts of allowances for 16-year-olds that are in puberty, or 65-year-old, or 60, or 40, or whatever. When women enter into menopause, we give a lot of allowances, or more allowances, than we do for a 30-year-old trans man who is simultaneously experiencing puberty and menopause and is irritable and depressed and can't make up their mind about anything, and so forth, which I talk about in my presentations, is the difficulty of that period, that 4 months, and I documented it heavily on the YouTube channel, so you all know what I'm talking about. He explained this to me in a way that was almost like a paradigm shift for me, and I haven't had paradigm shifts in quite a while. And so he equated it to left-handedness and right-handedness, and the impact that testosterone has on the body as compared to estrogen, and that it is the hormones that determine someone's gender. It is nothing else. And so he, which I appreciate, is not a believer that sex is between your legs and gender is between your head. He said that that's utter bullshit, that even sex is determined by the hormones in your body. And so, although he doesn't engage in the dialogue about the social construction of gender or sex per se, he does understand that if somebody is on testosterone for a matter of years, it doesn't matter what they were designated as birth. That if they have testosterone as their main hormone running through their body, they are male, 100%. So I appreciated that point of view. So I was talking about some of the things that I had difficulty with, and I still struggle with, that I feel things differently, I understand things differently, my communications differently, and for all the folks out there that are trans that are watching this, and who are taking hormones or have been taking hormones for a period of time, I feel like you can relate to that. As much as we are the same people, there are things about us that are simply different. And I think that I have struggled with that difference. I have almost resisted that difference because it's new, and I don't know I don't know if it's just that it's new or if it's something more. But to tell you the frickin' story that's now taking me 7.5 minutes to tell, is that prior to being on testosterone, estrogen was the leading hormone within my body, and it was the mechanism in which everything else basically operated from within my body. And so decisions were made from that place being influenced by estrogen. My feelings were influenced by that place being estrogen, so on and so forth. So there's a whole list. When I introduced testosterone as the main hormone in my body, basically testosterone creates a different mechanism, it's a different process of decision making. And so when you are hormonally depleted, particularly of testosterone, you have the inability to make very basic decisions. What to eat for breakfast is too fucking big. We can't make those sorts of decisions. And so he said that prior to my transition, my estrogen was like being right-handed, and I lived in a world, and I operated in a way that I was right-handed, and that made sense to me. And then when I transitioned, and now testosterone is what is guiding my life and guiding my decisions and my emotions and my thought process, it is now like I am left-handed, except I'm fighting being left-handed, and instead of embracing and learning how to write and operate and live in the world as a left-handed person, I am waiting and hoping for that time where I'm able to figure out how to effectively remain being right-handed, and that's not going to happen. And so there's all these things that come along with being right-handed or being estrogen-driven body, and that led me to think about that for all of the things that when we transition we are informed about, and all of the things that we are excited about, there's also a slew of things that we are uninformed about and unprepared for and don't even know will come. And I was really thinking about that, that this sort of ongoing concept that I have about transition being part of an exchange system. You give things up to get things. and that you exchange one kind of grief for another kind of grief. And Carson actually has talked about this with me with videos, and I've been really kind of like stewing on this and thinking about it. And today I was thinking about the whole left-handed, right-handed analogy with estrogen and testosterone. And sorry, I had a weird thing happen with my computer. So I jotted down all the things that I didn't bargain for, ask for, or even know would happen. I didn't know that I was going to become emotionally or in my thought process left-handed. Like I didn't know that, and I can't. It's not in my best interest to continue to reject that and to fight that and hope that I will just reacclimate to being right-handed. I'm not going to reacclimate to being right-handed. Estrogen is just not the dominant hormone in my body, and that has impacted me. And I talk about this theme in my videos about grieving, and it's like maybe I'm grieving that. Maybe I'm grieving the part of me that is forever changed and forever different, and knowing that I can't go back to that. And for all of the wonderful things that testosterone has done and surgery has done about not going back, like I don't want to go back to a female body, and I don't want to go back to having breasts, and I don't want to go back to having a female voice. I don't want to go back to that stuff. But I would, I think, like to be able to access the right-handedness. Again, I'm using it as an analogy, the right-handedness part of my being, part of my history. So, here I am processing again, and wondering if this hits home with anyone else, or anyone else has any thoughts they want to share about it. I've been having some amazing communication with people via Facebook and YouTube and my email, and please continue to do that. And all right, I hope everyone is well. Later.